the meeting discussed the following of good. Government will collaborate with organized labor and other stakeholders to fight galamsey in the fight against illegal mining. What does that mean? What does that actually mean in English? To say that you collaborate with that, what does that mean? This is English that you are just spewing out to people. There's nothing committal to this. There's nothing that clearly suggests that government is ready to say that, look, I am taking the bull by the horn. Nothing. Then they talk about, of course, and I think that the Deputy General Secretary handled the issue of the LI 2462. Look, in the first place, who in his very right, and I believe that when Kingsley comes, Kingsley will get up and start running to the issue of what do you call it? The LI was passed by Parliament, and you are in Parliament.
How can you predict?
No, I'm coming. I'm just no. I can foresee.
And it's indeed that you passed it.
No, I'm coming. So the LI, who in his right senses? And I tell you how LIs are passed. First and foremost, when an LI or a CI is brought to Parliament, there are two things. It's not like the act itself. When it is brought, yes, you can have a situation where, what they call it, Parliament will make some suggestions. That, oh, please, we think that you should do this, you think that you should do that. But Parliament does not have power unless 2/3 of parliamentarians in the plenary vote to say we are kicking out this. So you need that threshold of 2/3 to change it. Whether it's a CI or whether it's an LI. So when I hear people...
What about EI?
The EI is done. It's not done by Parliament. You see, executive instruments are passed by by what do you call it? The executive. Yeah. So it doesn't come to Parliament.
So
but
the
for the
can suspend the EI,
yeah,
but not an LI.
Is it, he can do what?
Can suspend an EI, but not an LI.
He
can issue a directive to agencies to stop
to stop it,
but not.
And indeed, that is why.
Ahead of the suspension of the LI, you can take administrative
measures. You can take administrative measures, and that is why some of the taxes.
For example, my point is that the request was that he must suspend it. I agree with you. Giving a directive. Yes, withdraw. Yeah, but you can't just do it. So I agree with your matter of giving directives to the relevant agencies.
That's what organized
labor is saying.
No, that if you said that you must withdraw.
No, you don't get me. When
the intent of the statement,
what they said was that to show seriousness, what you can do is to take an administrative action pending the withdrawal by Parliament. That will indicate that you're serious. Two, on that particular issue, what Dr. Otu said. Yeah. Two, that if you really are serious about the issue and you prioritize it, there are many situations where Parliament has been recalled to come and deal with issues. If this were a priority, it is also a step that you can take because they do not know when Parliament is going to reconvene.
Okay. So please, you make your
So the point I'm just trying to make is that.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. So the point I'm just trying to make is that. So you have a government who sits down and one morning he decides that, look, in the face of all the things I have seen, and particularly this was an LI that was passed in 2023. You have challenges.
November 22.
November 2022. Okay. You have challenges with even managing play areas that are not water bodies. You have challenges in managing even places that, if properly done in a sustainable manner, mining can be beneficial to us. Then you go and contemplate that you are extending those rights into the forest reserves. It just beats my thinking that how can somebody just for a moment say that, look, already where mining is supposed to be done, I am not able even to police it properly. And I give an example of it. You have situations where the Minerals Commission CEO yesterday in an interview says that, look, we have situations where we have gone to the police to tell the police that there's illegal mining taking place here. Go and get it sorted out. And the police does nothing about it. Government has all this at the back of its mind. Then still brings out a law that today we are even discussing a revocation of this particular law. This is the other thing. But see, Randy, you go back and then look at the last but one. I think the places where the government supports the call for presidential candidates to sign a pact committing to the fight against illegal mining so as to depoliticize this national problem. Who is politicizing this problem? And I'll give you reasons why I am saying this. Randy, nobody, including the NDC, is against mining, whether it is the, large-scale mining or whether it is a small-scale mining. Indeed, as per the records, the government of Ghana, in terms of its foreign earnings, mining alone, the mining industry alone contributes about 40% of our gross foreign exchange that we get in this country. It contributes about 5.7% of our GDP. And so nobody for a moment will say that mining, whether it is large scale or it's a small scale, is anything that is bad. Indeed, in the spirit of local content and in the spirit of local participation, it is the small scale mining industry that actually helps, and I'm using the word small scale legal, small scale mining industry, that actually gives the opportunity to locals or indigenes to be able to be part of that particular industry in terms of value retention. So nobody for a moment is against that. What people are against is, one, the irresponsible and illegal manner in which this particular activity is carried out. And that falls directly under, under the supervision of the government. I was surprised. I was just reading, I don't know whether, Randy, you have read it, the piece that was written by Simmons. I know whether you had read it.
Yes.
Where he indicates that between 1988 to November 2022, the total number of leases that we had given to this country in terms of mining licenses that we had issued out to the country was just 150. Between 2022 November to date, we've issued 1,400 leases. 1,400 leases. Then he goes on to indicate that out of this, you realize that about 100 plus leases were issued, that is to small-scale mining, were issued by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. And about 20 large-scale minings were issued by that. But when you compare that to the Minerals Commission, in their records, they actually have just one major licensing that they have there, and they have earmarked 14 blocks for small-scale mining. Who is politicizing this thing? This is politics. And it's confirmed by even the activities of the individuals who are involved. When recently Manasseh made his expose on the people who are involved in this, you have your original chairman of the NPP. His name was mentioned, that his company was involved. And indeed, this morning, just before this, I was having a conversation with Randy, and I said, we were in Koforidua where at that time, mines was part of energy and mines. You know, we used to have a committee on energy and mines. So we went to Koforidua. And I had indicated, I said, look, there were two issues that I had. And the two issues that I had was, one, had to do with the issue of the Akonta mining. I had said that, look, there was a clear indication that there was activity going on in the forest reserve by Akonta mining. Indeed, lawyer Martin Kpebu and his group had actually gone to see the activity, and they had officially reported the case to the police. As we speak now, nothing has been done about it. Then I asked the Minerals Commission Chief Executive, what do you have to say with that? His response to me was that, oh yes, one thing they know is that they have not issued any license to Akonta mining. However, even if they are mining in the forest, it doesn't fall under their jurisdiction, it falls under the Forestry Commission. I believe today, if you were to ask him that the water bodies, that they are mining in the water bodies, and you ask him, he's going to tell you that it falls under the Water Resource Commission, and so it doesn't fall under him. You realize that consistently, you have all the various commissions, whether it's the Minerals Commission, whether it is the, the Forestry Commission, or whether it's the Water Resources Commission. everybody seems to be sitting there and watching because it is somebody else's responsibility. You have a government that has a responsibility to protect our environment, not only for the people today, but even for people yet unborn. We are talking about situations where, now, if you look at the levels, and you see, the president made a statement that was very profound, in my opinion, that he will follow the science. You remember the COVID time? He will follow the science to guide him in his actions. The science as we speak today, whether it is the Ghana Medical Association, whether it is all the various scientists, the environmental scientists that we have, whether it is, the issues of nurses and what have you, everybody seems to be talking about the fact that this thing is having a serious effect on Ghanaians. It's not just by virtue of the fact that, it can, because they are seeing cases on daily basis. The number of kidney cases that are now increasing in this country. Kids who are born with deformity. Placentas that are tested and found that you have substances like cyanide and mercury in the placenta. And then you have a government who comes to tell you in issuing a statement, issue such a lame statement, and says that government will collaborate with labor unions to fight galamsey. My very simple conclusion to this is that one, government is not committed to this. And the reason why government is not committed to this is because the people who are involved are their own individuals. Indeed, if you listen to what the women's organizer of the NPP had indicated, Kate Jemfo, yes, that's her name, that yes, wait till after elections. After December, they will all join in the fight against against galamsey.
I didn't hear her say that. I've not heard her say that.
As usual, very typical of you. You want to be seized with the facts before you can talk.
I've not heard her say
You have situations like that.
I'm sure Anne will pull out a video.
Okay.
Then you have Community Japan in reacting to Steve Montiel's call. Also seems to be suggesting the same thing. And so I'm not surprised that in the Minister for Information statement, he talks about the fact that presidential candidates and other things should sign to this. But let me tell you what the NDC has indicated. It is not a question of just signing to this particular thing. What the NDC has indicated. The NDC has said that first and foremost, the issue of illegal mining is a no. And therefore, we must find a way of fighting it, and it must be done.